Hello, friends, and welcome to the Exploring Washington State podcast. My name is Scott Cowan, and I'm the host of the show. Each episode, I have a conversation with an interesting guest who is living in or from Washington State. These are casual conversations with real and interesting people. I think you're going to like the show. So let's jump right in with today's guest. All right. Well, my guest I'm recording it in the afternoon, everyone. My guest this afternoon is Kevin Lewis with Visit Tri-Cities. Kevin is the president and CEO. Kevin, I hate to tell you this, but your PR company said you drew the short straw and you had to talk to me. So I apologize in advance, but
I always get the short straw, and often it's the best straw. So
there we go. But Kevin, we're going to talk all about Tri-Cities today. But first, we're just going to, we're going to jump to the big topic. Then we're going to come back to it. But we're going to be talking about the Tri-Cities IRONMAN that's coming up.
Awesome. Yeah.
And tell me if I am wrong here, but I thought I read there's like 3,000 participants going to be participating in the Ironman.
Yeah, you're pretty much on track. So we hosted this for the first time last September 2024, and had a sold out race. About 3,000 people registered, and they descended upon our community with all of their friends and supporters, and it was awesome. All right,
well, we're going to come back to that. Okay, we're going to,
yeah.
But that's how we got introduced, was over the Tri-Cities Ironman thing, and I could make all sorts of humorous comments about how they've lost their mind doing the 70-mile race in one day, but we'll let them.
We'll come back to that.
We'll come back to that. So Kevin, when I talked to you on the phone, you've moved up to the Tri-Cities a few years ago, and you were in Utah, in southern Utah. So I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Right off the bat, that's your whole background. That's all people need to know about you. Do you want to go back, or do you like Tri-Cities? Do you want to go back to Utah? Do you miss Utah?
I'm going to be flat out honest with you. I love Utah. We raised our family there. I was raised in northern Utah in the Salt Lake area.
Okay.
I raised my family after I got married and got settled and whatever. We went to St. George, which is in the south end of the state, and spent 30 plus years there. And it's a beautiful area, wonderful place, great people. We love it. But we were ready for something new. You spend 30 years in a place, and maybe there's something else out there.
I'm totally teasing you. I've never been. I've heard St. George.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with Washington State, but for a few seconds.
Yeah.
What is St. George like? What's going on there let's just say from a tourism standpoint, because you were involved in tourism there. So what's the tourism act like in St. George?
Really, really booming there. So when I started with the destination marketing organization down there about 18 years ago, St. George was had a great reputation as a retirement and golf community.
Okay.
And it was great. It was, that's a great reputation to have. People love to go there. The weather's good. It does get a little hot in the summer, but most of the year is really nice, sunny blue skies, and you're surrounded by this incredible Red Rock Desert country. And so, it's a fantastic place. We loved it there, and so raised the family, and then the kids moved off. And but in the course of that, interesting thing about St. George is the weather patterns are very similar to what they are in the Tri-Cities. Okay. We don't get quite as hot here in the Tri-Cities as St. George will in the summertime. We get maybe just a little bit colder in the 2 winter months here. But the pattern is exactly the same. And so that was one of the things that attracted me to this position. I was recruited to come up here. I hadn't heard of the Tri-Cities. And so, maybe that's why I'm here. So maybe more people will know about it, and we can do some things here that will help people understand the gem of a place this is.
Well, like I told you before, I have to go down to Tri-Cities a couple times a month, 3 times a month, sometimes. I'll be going down there. I'll be going down there later this week. Let's just put it that way.
Making your Costco run, is that?
Well, no. We have Costco in Wenatchee. We're a big town now. We got Costco. Well, East Wenatchee has Costco. East doesn't. That's like saying, we have Costco in Kennewick, but I'm in Richland. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So, okay. Anyway,
exactly.
I go down there and I travel a lot of the state, and I grew up on the West Side. I lived on the West Side up until 8 years ago and moved over here to Central Washington. There's one big difference to me about Tri-Cities than anywhere else in the state that I've seen. And that is, it seems like you guys have the highway infrastructure for the amount of people that you have. I've never, now watch, I've been stuck on the bridge one time when there was repairs and I didn't realize that the bridge that's on me.
Yeah.
But getting around Tri-Cities seems pretty easy. So,
yeah, everybody says it's like, 10 minutes to anywhere, basically.
Right.
And so 3 cities, 4 really, with West Richland. But yeah, I live in Pasco. I work in Kennewick, right next to Richland. I probably am in every city every day and don't really know the difference other than you cross a bridge. Like you said, you cross a bridge and you're there, but we go out to dinner in different cities. We explore and adventure. We love the people that we live by and with in Pasco. So yeah, it's just it's kind of a unique place that way. 3 kind of smaller communities that combine give you some of the benefits of a larger destination.
Approximately about 300,000 people in the area, correct?
Yeah, I think it just went. The latest information came in. I think it's 330 now.
Okay.
Yeah,
you guys are. It's deceptively large to me. It seems. We don't. Yeah, it's just there's a lot of things about Tri-Cities that I think get overlooked by people. Maybe not overlooked, they're just not aware of. And so when they find out about it, so like I told you when we talked on the phone. As a kid growing up, now you were down in Utah when I was a kid growing up here. And the only time I ever heard of Tri-Cities was when they had the hydro races there, because they were either the week before, I can never remember, the week before or the week after the hydro races in Seattle. That's the only time I heard of Tri-Cities. I go to college in Ellensburg and I met people from the Tri-Cities. And we're like, what's going on down there? And I went down there for a weekend one time in the early 80s and it was, I don't remember it very well, but I don't remember a lot of my weekends in the early 80s going to Spokane or Seattle or wherever. Yeah. But when I go down there now, I always find it an interesting place to eat. I prepped you on this, I prepped you, I was going to ask you about coffee, but I always find coffee shops and all this. So there's a lot of things going on there. So let's approach it from this angle. Visit Tri-Cities. What is your organization's purpose and goal, and how does it differ from, say, a chamber of commerce?
Okay, good question. Yeah, so Visit Tri-Cities is the destination marketing organization for the region. So we represent the 3 cities, the 4 cities. We represent the 2 counties, Benton County and Franklin County, and essentially any of the destinations, the communities, activities within those regions. So there's multiple cities, multiple ports, multiple activities and adventures. But really what we feel like, I think probably the best phrase I can use is a catalyst for community vitality is what we are. We market and brand the destination. We tell people from outside of the area what's here and why it's cool to come, what kind of discovery they can make in themselves and in the destination. We facilitate and coordinate activities and events and bring in groups to the area. And we collaborate with the Chamber of Commerce, the economic development organizations. We're actually in the same building as those 2 organizations here, and so we collaborate with them extensively on just marketing this destination and telling people what it's all about. I think that's one of the things. If I circle back in, when you look at the IRONMAN event last year, that was purposeful. I came from a destination where started an Ironman event in St. George in 2010. It was the first race we had down there. And I think I mentioned, at that point, St. George was a retirement and golf community, and you brought an Ironman event in, and all of a sudden people said, whoa, there is something else going on down here. This is different. And, with the proliferation of social media and Instagram and all of that, people start to see what you have in your destination. So when I moved up here, I had left just right after hosting 3 Ironman World Championships in St. George,
Oh,
and
wow.
that was sort of unheard of in the Ironman space. But we had some good and complicated kind of circumstances where we had won the bid to host a world championship there,
Mm-hmm.
and then COVID hit, and other communities who were planning to host world championships were unable to do it. And Ironman came to us and said, "Well, what would you think? Could you pull this off?" And so we, buckled down and made it happen. It was a
Oh,
pretty intense year,
I
as you
bet.
can imagine,
I bet.
coming through COVID and into 3 races in 13 months that were, brought in people from everywhere. These are the best of the best Ironman athletes. But anyway, I only say that because it led to this. When I left there, the folks at Ironman said, "Hey, when you get settled up there, give us a call and let's see if there's any possibilities."
Right.
And so it took me a couple of months. I came up in December of 22. It was pretty cold that month. January, I was a little in shock. January was kind of dreary, and as winters can be. But February I started to get out and about a little bit, and I went down to the river and went, "What in the world? This is an incredible destination. This is a venue that could host a world-class Ironman."
Mm-hmm.
It's really neat. The park system there and the amenities right there by the river, and so we went to work, and within a year we had an event, and which is kind of fast in that space. Having been around major events like that before, it usually takes a while, but we had a community that was ready. They were prepared. They wanted to showcase what is here, because just like you say, most people see this from the freeway.
Mm-hmm.
They're driving through, they're coming into town to pick something up or whatever. They don't really get out in the community, and so an Ironman event brings 2,500 people right into your community to do an event that they've put their blood, sweat, and tears into. They've been preparing for this, maybe for life,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe it's been a life-changing preparation, or something happened in their life where they're trying to regroup from some tragedy or something. And everybody's got a story, and you bring all of those kind of people into your community. They bring their passion, and they connect to your passions and your community's passions. They see your beauty, they see the landscapes, they see the activities, and you get to showcase your destination in a way that is so natural, because they're just swimming, biking, and running throughout the community and engaging with everybody that's here. And they go, "Wow, I had no idea." And we heard that over and over and over again. This is such a friendly community, and there's so many great things here, and we loved it. And so that was, it was strategic, because having had the experience before and the relationships before, it was like, yeah, this is what the Tri-Cities needs, is a few things like this that people pull off the freeway and go, "Oh my gosh."
Well, we're gonna talk about the Ironman. I have some questions that for that on doubt about
Okay.
like event planning and the whole.
Sure.
It probably takes you a couple hours to throw the event together, and it's super easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Just
But I'm going to paint a picture, and I'm going to ask you to fill it in for me. So, I live in Seattle. I like to golf. It's May. It's not quite regular, consistent golf. I'm a fair weather golfer. Okay. So it's a little, still, it can be a little, so I'm going to come down to Tri-Cities, but my buddies are saying, "Hey, let's go down to Tri-Cities." So we're going to come down for a weekend. What would you have us do?
You want to know?
Yeah, give me some ideas. Like, we're going to come down for the weekend. What
do you do?
I can look on TripAdvisor, Expedia and all that. But from your standpoint, what are we overlooking?
I think the thing, I had to do this when I came up here too. And so this is why I kind of start with this angle. It's like, okay, what what is this community? You step back and say, what makes this community what it is? And we came up, we did sort of a deep dive and came up with really 5 kind of experience categories, if you will,
Okay.
that make the Tri-Cities what it is. And, you kind of top it off with wineries and vineyards. We're in wine country, and we got 200 wineries within 50 miles, 50-mile radius. You can get the 200 wineries. So that is big. That's a big component of it, right?
Right.
And it's an important one. It's a unique landscape that way.
Mm-hmm.
You drive around, you see the vineyards, you can go in and you can have a great time there, grab a bite, grab some wine, have some fun that way. So wineries and vineyards. Second, and I don't put this in any particular order, but this is, just to number them, river recreation. And I think the story of the river here, man, it leads into so many conversations. And some of them are complicated, but we have the Columbia River that runs through here. It's the last free-flowing stretch of the Columbia, is part of a national monument now, the Hanford Reach National Monument. So 51 miles of free-flowing, non-dammed section. So you get kind of that wilderness and still the natural kind of a feel. But the river story is it really bleeds into every story that's here. Kick back to Grand Coulee Dam, and if they hadn't built that dam in the 1930s, there wouldn't be electricity, there wouldn't be irrigation, there wouldn't be the cooling agents and the water necessary for the Manhattan Project National Park. You just weave that story. It goes through all of the industry, all of the settlement of this area. And in an interesting way, all of that is sort of related to jobs and, making a living. And it's not really related to recreation so much originally. But what's I think in some ways the Tri-Cities may have missed the point early on from my perspective, and said, they sort of turned their back to the river and used it for all of these production facilities and needs, energy uses and all that kind of stuff, and didn't think of it so much as recreation. And today, what's happening in the Tri-Cities is it's being turned to a recreation, venue, right? And so. And I don't mean to. I'm generalizing really broadly here, but the river is a huge part of it. And so when you come to the Tri-Cities, you've got parks that line the river, you've got restaurants, you've got paved trails, 26 miles of paved trails that go along around it, over the bridges and onto the other side, into parks and things on the other side, and just a number of really interesting things along that. When one of the first things that I tell people to do, if I'm bringing somebody up, my kids had never been up here either, right? So okay, kids, you got to come up, and they're older, their families, whatever. So what do? We jump on e-bikes and ride the trail system, and I think that's the first thing to do, because now you get that sense of what this community is wrapped around. And coming from St. George, Utah, desert country, not much water down there.
No.
And I flew up here and looked out the window of the plane and saw this massive river system. And it's actually 3 rivers: the Columbia, the Yakima, and the Snake, all come together right here. So it's really interesting how the water. Seattle side, you got plenty of water over there, but here we're in the middle of that, rain shadow, and yet you have these 3 massive water systems that come together here. The first time I went across one of the bridges, I just was like, this river is so big, the Columbia. And I'm going to be honest with you, Scott. The longer I've been here, the smaller the river's gotten. Isn't that weird?
It's not weird because, Wenatchee's on the Columbia too, right? So we're upstream from you.
Yep.
And I go across the Columbia 2 or 3 times a week, and I kind of take it for granted.
Yeah.
But then I also go up So how? Okay, so I go up to Omak and Oroville and Tonasket. I go up along the Columbia that way. But when I come to Tri-Cities, the route that I usually take is I go from Wenatchee, I go to Quincy, I get on 90, I go up to Moses Lake, and I come down through Othello in that way.
Okay.
But when I come home, I tend to come up through the Reach and come up along the Columbia. And so I'm around the Columbia a lot. And if I'm being really honest with you, not that we're not being honest with each other, but if I'm just being open, right?
Yeah.
Is that, most of the time I just kind of take it for granted, but every now and then I catch myself going, that's a lot of water.
It's a lot of water.
That's a lot. That thing's huge. And then I start to realize it's like, 1,200, 1,300 miles long. Mm-hmm. The economic impact that it has for not just Tri-Cities, but, the whole north central, just central Washington. Like you said, we wouldn't have the electricity that we have. We wouldn't be growing the potatoes. We wouldn't be growing the grapes. We wouldn't be doing the apples. We wouldn't be doing a lot of things as easily without
transportation system to get all of that stuff from here to Asia. Right.
Right. Your communities there are just, you're right on that it's, it's vital.
Yeah. Yeah. And the stories that are connected to that I've been sort of just fascinated as I've gone down the rabbit holes one at a time because there's so many stories that are connected to it. And, some of them are, there's multiple sides to these stories, and trying to understand the who's and what's and whys of it. And how did we get to this point? But I see the river, again, a desert boy coming up, and I see the river as just a playground, and with this trail system along it and some neat shops and facilities and some great parks, some, wildlife refuges that you can connect to, all of that. So that's a definite in my list of, if you're coming to Tri-Cities, get out of the car, get on the bike or take a walk along the path.
So I'm going to put you on the spot. So are there places I could rent an e-bike near the river? Okay. So we've got vendors down there that I can go rent an e-bike.
Yep.
Excellent.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's what I do. I've got a regular bike that I ride. I'm a mountain bike kind of guy, but when I bring people to town, it's like, let's go get the e-bikes and we'll cruise. And then it's just fun. You're like a dog with its head out the window, It's like, all right, push the button and just go, And so along the river, some interesting, fun little things. And this is, again, maybe it's not you and your golfing buddies are as interested in some of this stuff, but there are some cool little things along the way. They did some historical stuff. There's these little placards, not placards, they're almost like stones that are positioned about every quarter mile along there called Pompey's Lessons. And Pompey was one of the kids of Sacagawea, Lewis and Clark and Sacagawea. And I don't know why they named him Pompey's Lessons, but you can just do some interpretive educational stuff along the route if you want, if you're walking or riding or whatever. They're teaching about Lewis and Clark and the history there. There's another guy, and I forget his name, Thomas. It slipped my mind right now, but he started a project where at the Reach Museum, which is another great place to stop into, again, one of your kind of first things if you're trying to understand this area. The Reach Museum gives you the story of the land and it gives you the story of the Manhattan Project. And those two things are sort of this duality of story, right?
Right.
But right there at the Reach, there's this big sundial type monument that represents the sun in the solar system. And the strategy was that they were going to do a scaled model of the solar system with this. There's the orbits.
Okay.
And so you go about a mile out on the river trail, and there's a monument marker there that represents the Earth. And it's to scale of where the Earth would be in comparison to the sun. And you've got the planets aligned along the way there, which just gives you, again, some perspective. So for instance, and this, you'll find this funny, I think, well, Jupiter ends up in Howard Amon Park. Okay. The trail doesn't go clear to Benton City, but Benton City happens to be in where the orbit would be for Uranus.
Okay.
And so they they opted in to put the Uranus marker in Benton City. Now, a lot of people like to pronounce that a different way.
Right. Yes, that's true.
And there are T-shirts that are out there that I saw Uranus in Benton City. So anyway, but there's some fun and interesting things like that make that experience even more immersive, right? When you're down there, some just interesting things have gone along. You can ride the bike all the way out to the USS Triton Sail, which is a nuclear submarine.
Mm-hmm.
It's powered by two nuclear reactors that powered it, and it went circumvented the globe completely underwater.
Wow!
Never came up. Wow. And circumvented the globe. So there's a submarine sail that you can actually schedule a tour and go inside of it and look through the periscope and and all that stuff.
Okay.
So some interesting things. So that kind of leads me to the maybe third category of what the Tri-Cities is about, and it's sort of that history and science, right? So much history.
Mm-hmm.
Lewis and Clark, the core of discovery. Yeah. Of course, all the indigenous and all of that. We even have the Kennewick Man, which was
right. Right. I forgot about that until you said it. Yeah, right.
Yeah, a skeleton that was found along the Columbia River that's dated back to perhaps the earliest known human remains.
I think that's still. I think they still consider that the oldest skeleton that they've uncovered.
Yeah. And so that whole story. So our history is pretty interesting. Lots of little connections. The Triton Sail, the Manhattan Project. We have the National Lab, PNNL here, that is making all kinds of incredible discovery that makes our life better, and things that we use, like the airport scanners that you go through. That was invented.
I don't know that's making my life better. I got to be honest.
Well, at least you don't have to take your clothes off, right?
And now we don't have to take our shoes off because
you don't have to take your shoes off anymore. Right. So lots of that. So that's kind of third category of experiences that you can have here. The fourth one, events and entertainment, and you brought up water follies. 60 years this year, of water follies. I'm trying to go back and think of events that have been going on much longer than that, anywhere. Not a lot.
There are, but there's not a lot of them. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. So the track record there, and of course it's been through, different waves of, what happens when you're down there and all of that, but they got a great show. They put an air show with it, for a nice hangout with some family and friends, go play some cornhole and barbecue, watch the races and the air show, and have a great time at the park.
Right,
that's a good one. And then everything from that to we just brought in an Ironman event, and you can get involved in something like that.
All right, I'm gonna say a couple things. I know that I'm gonna put you on the spot with the tough one, but the thing that struck me, surprised me, was the airport. I didn't realize, and I don't know that I'm completely accurate right now. But I believe that you can fly from Pasco to San Francisco, Denver, Minneapolis, Las Vegas, Los Angeles. I don't know if Chicago's on that list yet.
Chicago's not on it yet. Salt Lake City is.
Yeah. When I heard that I could not have to go to SeaTac, and not have to go over and just the chaos of the West Side to me. And no shade, sorry folks, people that listen to this know how I feel. But if I can just basically, from where I live, it's just about the same mileage. Actually, it's shorter to drive to Pasco to fly. And those places that I just named off are kind of places I go.
Yeah.
It's like, or if I don't go there, Minneapolis and Denver, I can connect to anywhere from those two airports, or Los Angeles. Right. Boom. Yep. So I didn't realize that your region had this asset.
Kind of another hidden gem, right?
Yeah.
In some respects, it's like Little Pasco has direct flights to 10 different destinations, and you can one hop just about anywhere globally.
Right.
You know, one stop and you're, you know, Phoenix to Mexico, Denver to wherever, Minneapolis to where it's LA, like you said.
Boom.
Yeah, really remarkable. And, you know, again, part of that, the advantage that we have of all of those other things that we talk about, you know, PNNL and, you know, the Hanford site and agriculture and everything else, there's a lot of industry here. There's a lot of business that takes place here.
Right.
And people need to get here to coordinate that. And so
yeah,
we're one of the growing airports in a time when airports have been cutting back, especially recently.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're still on the adding flights because we're filling flights here.
I can think of 3 airlines that fly in there. I think it's Alaska flies in. I want to say United flies in.
United,
and then there's
Delta.
Delta, and then there's
Delta.
another a brand that I'm not familiar with, Alliant or something to that effect.
A couple of small ones, Allegiant and Avello, but we also added American last year.
See,
American to Phoenix.
That's to Phoenix?
To Phoenix, yeah.
See, I mean, for me, selfishly, I'm gonna fly out of there.
Come this way. Yeah. Yeah, I would do the same thing. I mean, I've flown enough in my life that if I can find an easy on, easy off, rather than going through a major, you know, you know, again, you do what you have to do, but but it is a great alternative. And you know, interestingly enough, I said it's like 10 minutes to everywhere. I can get to the airport in 10 minutes from my house. I know that because one time I got out of the car and was walking to the terminal and realized I had left my phone at home. Of course, all my ticket and everything is on there, you know. So I jumped back in the car, drove home, got the phone, drove back to the airport, and made my flight.
See, you couldn't do that. The only okay, I got a story kind of all right. So I had to go to a conference in Spokane. And I was living in the west side at that time. So, you know, SeaTac to Spokane is like taking a bike ride. I mean, it's like you get in, you take off, you're landing. I mean, I think you spend more time taxiing.
Yeah.
So the event happened in Spokane. And I'm sitting in the terminal and I'm talking to this individual from one of the companies that I work with. And we were in this conversation and they said, Alaska flight number 123 is now boarding for SeaTac Airport. And he goes, oh, that's me. And I go, yep, that's me too. So I get up and, you know, this was pre-phone stuff, handed the gate attendant my ticket and she inserted and goes, eh.
Uh-oh.
I'm like, what? She goes, you're not on this flight.
Ooh.
You were on the flight that just left. I go, what? You mean there's more than one flight going to Seattle? Luckily for me, they go, well, we'll get you on this flight. But we were just sitting there. I didn't think they had 2 flights going to Seattle in an hour.
Within the same, yeah.
Anyway, so I could have been trapped in Spokane for a night or something. But anyway, I could not have imagined leaving my phone and having to go back and get it at SeaTac or any airport,
it's
frankly.
kind of unheard of, but
okay,
yeah,
so
that was my you know,
I'm sorry,
my experience with it. But
so I'm going to put you on the spot because you gave me kind of this spring thing here, and we've talked about summer and the river and the wine and all that goes with this. But when you started this conversation with me, you said you came up in January, and it was a little, I think you used the word dreary. Putting you on the spot, what's there to do in Tri-Cities during those dreary winter months? What's going on there for activities off season, if you will?
Yeah. You know, December is obviously a lot of holiday activity, you know, things around the holiday, all of that kind of stuff. January, to be honest, is a little bit of people regrouping, resetting.
Nothing wrong with that, by the way. There's nothing wrong with that. Having a month off is pretty good.
Gearing up, but you're kind of hitting on, you know, one of the things I talk about a lot is, and this is that 5th category that we talked about, is sunshine and open spaces. And so, you know, when I say dreary, it's because I came from a place that had sunshine and open spaces as well.
Right.
And so it was a little bit of, this is a little different because you get some cloud cover here those 2 months. What I've noticed though is temperature wise, you're still in a lot of cases you're still pretty good. You're not going to be able to play golf some days, but other days you can. It just might be overcast, right?
And I'm not a golfer, but but
Yeah.
you can't do that in Wenatchee. We've got snow.
You can't. No,
we've got snow.
No, you're shut down. Yeah, we do have availability. Again, you're going to have a couple of days here and there throughout those 2 months that you might get some freeze or something. Then a little bit of weather, but overcast, gray. So you're getting a little bit more of the West Coast feel. Temperatures are cooler, but you can still get out. You can, I mean, the waterfowl, if you like bird watching, if you like any of that kind of stuff, man, there's just tons of that going on. The waterfowl that are coming through that time of year, incredible. So the wildlife refuges, the hiking along the trails and things like that. I went for a hike on Christmas Eve, I think. Yeah, I think it was the 23rd, 24th of December, just south of here at a place called the Twin Sisters, Twins at the Wallula Gap.
Mm-hmm.
And took my little dog. We hiked up to these like incredible like basalt pillars that have Indian legend with them or whatever, looking over the Columbia River down there. And all across the fields, you saw green.
Oh, wow.
Like it's like something is popping at that time of year. It surprised me, really surprised me, because I thought everything was just kind of gray and brown then, but it was already starting to pop a little bit. So you can get out, you just dress a little differently, you prepare for a little differently. Or you look for some of those indoor activities.
Yeah, but what I like about Wenatchee is we get all 4 seasons, right? Mm-hmm. But I will also say that by the end of each season, well, that's not true. By the end of summer, I'm ready for fall. Yeah. And by the end of winter, I'm ready for spring. I'm always sad to see fall and spring leave because I know what's coming. Yep. But it's not what I think is that 13 months of overcast and drizzle of the west side. And I'm being facetious, but that's kind of...
Yeah. How long are your winters in Wenatchee? What's the
2 or 3 years.
Okay. Yeah, that's all.
Sorry. Okay, so since I've been here for 8 years, the earliest I think we received snow was mid-October, and that was early.
Yeah, yeah.
And then my wife threw my 60th birthday party, and my birthday is April 12th. Nice. And on the 13th, it snowed a foot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can get it.
We could almost get 6.
You can get the whole range.
4 solid months, of legitimate. I mean, November, December, January, and February can be rough. October's and April's a little like abnormal.
Okay. Yeah.
But our summers kind of like yours. I mean, we're having kind of a mild summer this year. I don't think we've hit 100 yet.
We did get 100 a couple of days, but only a couple of days. It's been really nice.
In fact, if I look at my phone, I'm going to cheat and look at my phone. So just so that people, I don't know when this episode's going live, but we're recording this in July. And Saturday, they're saying the high will be 79 degrees in the middle of July.
I think we looked out today, it was 85.
It's 88 right now, according to my 88. Phone. Yeah, I mean, it's pleasant.
Yeah.
All things considered. Okay.
So we're loving that. One other thing I thought about in the winter months that's kind of fun here, we've got the Tri-City Americans, the hockey team.
They play against the Wenatchee Wild.
Exactly. So, again, another little piece of, entertainment, nightlife, whatever, get down and have a fun time with a hockey game. And I might be a little off here, but I grew up watching hockey in Salt Lake. I had season tickets to the Salt Lake Golden Eagles in minor league hockey, CHL, way back in the day. And they won the Adams Cup or whatever it was. And so, I was a big fan. But I love minor league hockey. There's something raw about it that makes it really entertaining. I went to see a Kraken game when I was in town for a conference, and it was almost like a symphony. They were skating so perfectly, and I'm not going to try and come down on the NHL. I love the NHL too, but I just, the difference in it was just like almost too pretty at times for that, rugged, raw hockey experience.
Well, no. I tend to say things and then people give me feedback like, oh, you're so negative. And I'm not trying to be negative, but you said minor league hockey. Uh-huh. So if I think about what I'm aware of, so Everett, Seattle, Spokane, Tri-Cities, Wenatchee are all in the WHL. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That league also has teams up in Vancouver. So Vancouver has a WHL team and an NHL team. Victoria. But Penticton, which is just north of the border, they're moving up to the WHL for this upcoming season. Mm-hmm. Okay. So these are young men who are, many of them, the good ones, are getting drafted to go to the NHL. All right. Well, I'm a baseball nut. So you have the Tri-City Americans, right? Or Dust Devils. The
Dust Devils. Yeah.
And they play in the same league as the Everett Aqua Sox and the Spokane Indians. Those are the only three teams in Washington.
Okay.
We have the Tacoma Rainiers and we have the Seattle Mariners, right? The Rainiers and the Mariners get the thing. But then there's the West Coast League, which is collegiate short. It's the first time a lot of these kids play with wooden bats. Uh-huh. And so there's 17 or 18 teams in that league now in Washington, Oregon, British Columbia, and one in Alberta, I think. Edmonton's in Alberta. So Major League Baseball just had a draft, and I think 42 players from the WCL that had played at the West Coast League at some point were drafted in this upcoming Major League Baseball draft. So you can go to these cities. So those teams are in Walla Walla, Yakima, Wenatchee, Bellingham, Port Angeles, not Colfax, Ridgefield, and Cowlitz. It's Cowlitz Black Bears.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So there's a lot of things we can do sports-wise to watch these young kids who they're not polished yet.
Yeah.
They're not
up and coming.
They're up and coming. And you can go see the Stars of Tomorrow at a Tri-City Americans hockey game or a Dust Devils game or a Wenatchee Wild hockey match. I've been to one Wild game. That's all I've been to. And
it's up close and personal. It's raw and fun. The fans, we sat, the last time I went to an Americans game, we sat on the third row, and the guys on the front row were having so much fun. They were as entertaining as the game was. Cowbells and banging on the glass every time somebody was checked on it. And it was just a night of just fun. They got up to go get something to, at the concessions. I said, you guys, you can't leave because you're part of the show.
Yeah. And I kept saying I was going to go to some this last season, and I didn't, because this was Wenatchee's first year in the WHL. And I will go to some this coming season because and I'll probably go to, the games against Washington State opponents just because of my whole Explore Washington State thing. But my wife and I were up in Penticton for a concert a couple of weeks ago. Canadians are crazy for hockey. Man.
I lived in Canada for a little while in the Gretzky era.
Okay, so I'm in this little town. Have you ever been to Penticton, British Columbia?
I haven't been to Penticton. No.
Oh, nice from a touristy standpoint. Well, we shouldn't talk about other places, but it's. I was really like, wow! It's sandwiched in between two lakes. The south end of town is bordered by a lake, and the north end of town is bordered by another lake. The Okanagan River flows through it. It's pretty cool.
Beautiful.
It's in British Columbia's wine country.
Yeah.
Et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, so the concert we went to was at their ice arena, which is about the size of the Toyota or the town center here in Wenatchee. I don't know how big this facility is in Tri-Cities for your team.
Probably similar, okay.
Probably. So, this place held about 5,000.
Yeah. Yeah. Very
And
similar.
the entire ring around it was covered with banners of the Penticton V's for years. And I mentioned hockey to somebody, and I had to pull myself away because I still could have been there. They were that passionate about hockey.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
and everywhere in that town is, we support the V's. We support it's just kind of nice to see that.
It's kind of fun.
And I hope that our junior sports, minor league sports in Washington State, I hope we can develop some of that, because I think it's great for the community. I think it's really great for the community.
Yeah.
I didn't think we'd talk sports at all. Oh, interesting. See, I told you, I warned you, this is going to go off the rails at some point. And we went to sports.
Right. Yeah.
All right, but I gotta put you on the spot here. I gotta ask you my questions, and then we're going to cover the Ironman thing. So here's my questions for you. And I know you're not a coffee drinker, but I'm going to come down to Tri-Cities this week.
Okay.
Where should I go for coffee or, a pastry or something like that? Yeah. What do you got for me?
I did some research.
Okay. I love it.
So I got to tell you though, I'm not a coffee drinker, as you said, but my dad used to buy, do you remember the Nips coffee candies?
Yes.
The hard candies?
Yes.
So every time I smell coffee, I just go nostalgic, because I used to eat those like
candy.
Yeah, that's what they were. They were candy. Yeah. So,
sorry.
So even though I don't drink it, I still kind of crave it.
Right. Okay. Right. All right.
Right. But I asked around the office, and we got a lot of coffee drinkers, and I got some good feedback. So I'm going to put the number one on the list is Rockabilly Roasting.
Where's that at? I've never heard of that.
Kennewick, and it's in downtown in the market area, the old town Kennewick.
Okay.
Really neat guy started it. He's passed away, but he was just a really neat guy, really helpful to the community, and just everybody supported him. When he passed away, the other coffee shops were like, "Oh my gosh," they were fundraising and all that stuff. It was kind of a neat story. But they roast their own coffee beans there. They have this great location downtown Kennewick, in the heart of that old kind of Kennewick feel. And this is a quote, and their cold brew is super smooth and tasty. So there's your recommendation. New
all
spot.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I go to Rockabilly. There's several others that I could name off, some honorable mentions. Caffeine Bar. And the feedback there was the frou-frou sweet coffees and the customer service are great. So even if you don't like coffee, the frou-frou sweet coffees are really great.
I'm a coffee guy.
You're traditional.
I don't the foo-foo ones. That doesn't. I mean, no.
Yeah.
Okay. So Rockabilly. All right. I have not heard of that. All right.
Caffeine Bar. There's one called. I got to tell you about this one. There's one called Cafe Con Arte.
Been there.
Have you been to?
I've been.
What did you think? What did you think of that?
I think what they are doing there, I wish them great success. Yeah. I really like what the owner, and I can't think of his name. I had a quick conversation with him. I asked him to be on the show, and we've just never inspiring me to reconnect with him.
There you go.
I really like what they're doing there. Coffee, art, community space.
Community.
I like this right across the street from the farmers market.
Yeah, put you in that Latinx kind of culture and environment, and so that's another one to throw out there. There's a bunch of more I could.
No shade to anybody we didn't mention, but those are okay. Yeah. All right, now it's gonna be lunchtime, and I gotta grab lunch, and I asked the question of lunch to my guests because I think it's easier on you. Yeah. So, where's a great place for lunch in the Tri-Cities?
So I'm going to throw out a random one that's kind of interesting. I mean, most you might go to favorite restaurant or whatever, but we have this really cool food truck hub called Summers Hub, and it's in Kennewick, and it's my office. It's about 5 minutes from my office, so that's why I think of it. Okay. So what they did is they built there's a main building that has tables and stuff inside, and there's a place called Brady's Brats and Burgers inside the building. Okay. But the building is wide open, and then surrounded that is a lot of food trucks. Okay, like a parking lot that's fenced and safe space with tables and cornhole and a few things like that. So you've got 20 food trucks.
What?
inside this court, and you can wander in there and anybody can get whatever they want. Now I'm gonna go back to the Brady's Brats and Burgers. The Brady burger is delicious, and the French fries, the real potato kind of French fries,
Right.
really, really good. So there's a solid, but you got your choice of tacos or sushi or,
and there's that many
ice cream.
trucks.
Yeah, I think there's probably close to 20.
That's almost too many choices. I mean, I'd be there for lunch and dinner. I'd be frozen in action.
Yeah,
I did not know. Okay, well,
so a different one. I mean, that's a different.
That's awesome. Okay.
And again, I could pin down a number of different restaurants that I love.
This is all for my recognizance for me personally. You couldn't have done anything better. All right, I'm gonna go out of order. I'm gonna hit you with that third question that I told you I wouldn't ask you about, because we're gonna wrap this up with the Ironman, because that's what. So here's the question I told you. Remember I said, and you agreed to play along.
Yeah.
So it's simple. I'm going to ask you, something or something, and then you have to tell me why. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So here's the question: cake or pie, and why?
Pie, because I like berries and crust.
Okay.
Yeah.
I keep asking this question, this follow-up question, because I keep thinking if I ask it enough, it's going to prove me right. Lately, it's proven me wrong, so I'm throwing that out there. So when you were a kid growing up, did you have more cakes or more pies?
Gosh, probably more cake, actually. Yeah.
See, I came up with this hypothesis that your answer, not your specific answer, but the answer of the guest is based on what they grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm almost coming up with is the exact opposite.
Yeah, it's the opposite.
Almost everybody goes, well, they say cake. Well, we had pie. I mean, cake's always kind of like the birthday thing. But if they think about it, they're like, no, grandma always brought pie or whatever the recollection of childhood is.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking it was going to reinforce my thing, and it's not. Okay.
You're not proving it out.
I'm not. Anyway.
Everybody's not proving it out. So now you got to come up with another hypothesis. Huh?
All right. Ironman. This is what I know about the sport. It's approximately 3,000 crazy people going to do something for about 70 miles.
Yeah.
Biking,
swimming,
and running. And I could make fun of this just because I can't see myself doing any of the three. But what we have here is about 3,000 participants coming to the Tri-Cities. And in one day, they're going to do this.
Yeah.
Questions I have is, I'm not going to ask you to get into Ironman, because I'm going to have a couple of guests on that are actually participants in this. We'll let them talk about the nuts and bolts of the sport. But as part of the organization of this thing, what goes on behind the scenes to bring in 3,000 people and have them go from point A to point B successessly in a day? How do you guys pull that off?
Great question. I'm going to start this off with a little story, if it's all right.
Sure.
So we get this first one here, and it's first time. It's new to everybody in the community, but Ironman organizations in town, everybody's there. All of these things have come together. So, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm up. and checking out, how did this all come together? Is it because there's an energy there. So now you really have 2,500 bikes in a lot racked up, and these are like average probably $10,000 bikes, right? I mean, they're not cheap. No. This isn't a cheap sport. It's quite an investment. And this is, we had it down at Columbia Point Marina. And so the lights are on, the big stadium lights at the park are on. And, we got drone shots that but I walked up on the hill. I had to look at it for myself. I went up on the freeway bridge, looked down at it, and just saw the buzz and everything happening. And then I walked down the path to where the swim start's going to happen. And you got all these athletes, and they're getting their gear, and they're all intense and whatever. And there's all this kind of energy right there on the shore. And the sun is just barely starting to show light over the horizon of the river. And I looked out to look at the sunrise, and I saw this little trail of single lights that were weaving their way along the river. It was the kayak. It was the water safety crew. And to me, that was this surreal moment that just kind of brought this whole thing together. Because what you have is a group of people who are invested in the back end of this, and nobody really even knows they're there, but they just silently stream their way out to the river so that we can have a safe swim. And you have thousands of others who are doing the same thing across 73 miles of the course that have come to volunteer to be part of this crazy event, and support some people who are doing something that they may never do themselves, right? And that's the essence of the event. It's just like, man, my heart just kind of, I get emotional when I think about it, because that's what it takes. It takes a community of people who are willing to just do something outside of themselves to help somebody do something outside of themselves, right?
So about how many people does it take, volunteers and staff, to put on this event?
So we had, this year we had about 1,300 volunteers.
Okay.
That were there for the day. When you think about staff and agencies that are involved, you start adding another, few hundred people.
Mm-hmm.
They're in the back end. The IRONMAN organization, they brought, I can't remember. I think we had close to 250 rooms that they brought people in to put this thing on. It's a massive undertaking, and it just doesn't happen unless you can connect the dots and get people inspired by why would we do this? Why are we closing roads and making traffic, make things difficult for our residents and whatever. But there's so much more to it than just an event where somebody goes off and does something cool.
Did it really make it difficult? I mean, if we're being honest, I mean, is it for the day? Is it kind of it's a burden on getting around the area, right? I mean, and that's okay.
It is in some locations, and we learned some things this year. There are a few pinch points that we can address that better this way, and so we've made some adjustments to the course. The reality is, it's you think of it, you're in a car and you have to drive 10 minutes further. How hard is that really, right?
It's not.
But we have this kind of, I get it. If I hadn't paid attention to all of the literature that was sent out and all the social media and all the regular media that said, hey, this is coming and plan your day a little differently this day. If I hadn't paid attention to that, and I probably wouldn't if I wasn't in that space, I might ignore it until that day. All of a sudden, I'm stuck in some traffic. Now it's a big deal. Now
not a good day to leave your cell phone at home.
Yeah, exactly. So it can be.
Okay.
So the thing that I just encourage people to do is just kind of pay attention, take a minute and say, okay, this day is going to be a little different. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be able to get where I need to go, but I may need to go a different route this day, and then I can get there. Or there might be a 10-minute delay while I wait for some of the bikes to go by and get an opening, because that's what it is. You're taking 2,500 athletes across 73 miles. It is logistically challenging.
I don't know that you're going to know the answer to this, so I'm not trying to set you up for a tough question, but the winner, how many divisions are there? There's obviously men's and women, and then they break it down by age group, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. That's it.
Do you, off the top of your head, remember the fastest time of any of those groups?
I do. I can actually, if I think hard enough. So the winner of our race was Luke Tasker.
Okay.
He's from Vancouver, Washington.
Okay.
And he did it in 3 hours and 53 minutes. And he's not a pro. He's an amateur athlete.
Oh, well, yeah, because he would have done it much faster. I'm just kidding.
Well, not much faster.
I know, I'm just totally kidding. Don't take me seriously.
But our
less
race
than
is
4 hours to do 70 plus miles.
73 miles. Yeah.
Running, biking, and swimming.
1.2 miles, bike 56, and run a half marathon 13. No. All parts of my body say no to that. I think it's amazing. Personally, for me, no. But I think it's amazing, number one, that people are willing to endure Yeah.
the level, because it's not just like you decide to go run the Ironman on Saturday. You're training for it for months, probably. Yep. I'm just going to speculate months. You just don't get up on Friday night and go, I'm going to do that Ironman tomorrow. Yeah, let's go down to that.
Yeah,
no,
not one of those.
Do that. So the commitment to the sport, the commitment to completing such a, to me, that's grueling sounding.
Yeah.
And I don't know which of the three sounds more daunting, to be honest with you.
Well, I think that's the reality. Is it's like you really, I mean, that's how Ironman really started too. Was back in the island of Hawaii, there were a couple of Army guys that were like, one was a swimmer, one was a biker, and one was a runner, and they just challenge each other, which is the most difficult discipline. Hey, why don't we put these together and see what happens?
What could go wrong?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
They started an event that was, they took 3 existing events. I'll get the names of them wrong, but there were on the island of Hawaii. There was a swim, there was a bike event, around the island bike event, and there was a run, a marathon. And they said, okay, we'll take those 3 events, we'll combine them together into one. And that's how the full Ironman distance came to be 112 miles, because the Oahu swim, the around the island bike, and the what was the run? The Honolulu Marathon, I think.
Okay. So what was your time last year when you completed it? What did you?
I tell people, I say, I've been around this sport for so long. I can talk the talk, but I don't necessarily walk the walk. But I'm pretty sure I put in my 70.3 miles in one way or another that day. I was everywhere.
So I'm going to guess, because you mentioned earlier mountain biking would be, of the 3 would be the biking would be the thing you would probably go, that's what I would do. That if you
probably just because I have ridden, but 56 miles it's a ways, but yeah, I could probably pull that off. Okay. I'd have to work on the swim, and open water swim's a different thing. Now we've got an advantage here because we do swim in a river, so it's downriver swim.
Right. But still,
it's still a mile, 1.2 miles. So
how fast are they doing the mile?
Oh my gosh. The swim times, I think the slowest swim time we had last year was like 27, 28 minutes, 30 minutes, something like that. They're doing the fast ones were coming in 15.
Wow.
That's fast.
That's fast. That's very fast.
Really fast. Yeah. Okay. The rivers and interesting in the Ironman space, people come to learn that this one's a nice one to cut your teeth on, but you might wake up, if you went and did a race like St. George right after this one, it's a whole different story. Right. Yeah.
All right. Now from a viewing standpoint, I know, are there good places for a spectator to take? I mean, you're not going to be able to stand. You're not going to stand in one spot and see all 3 things. But are there good locations, and are they relatively easy to go from the here to here to here?
Yeah. So on the spectator side, in triathlon, I had an 8-time world champion Ironman athlete tell me, it's kind of like watching paint dry. Paula Newby-Fraser told me that when I was first getting involved in the sport. That's pretty. I only say that because she said it. If you know somebody involved in the event, it's pretty energizing. And there are some places some of the best places to go. So the swim start is really fun. You get down, you see all the energy of people going in, and in our race, that is upstream. Essentially a mile from where they come out to the bike transition. So you can walk down that mile. You can go see the swim start. You can walk down that mile, and if you hustle, you can see your same athlete enter and come out of the water.
I don't know. I think those guys I'm going to walk the mile slower than they're going to swim it. It sounds like, but okay.
But that's a neat place because they're coming out of the water. They're ripping off the wetsuits. They're throwing on their gear. They grab their bike and they head out into the ride.
Right.
So there's a lot of energy there. And then in our course, they do 56 miles and they come back and they drop the bike right there again. So after the riders are coming in and out for a bit, you've got them at both ends. You can walk not too far and see them coming in. You can see them going out. You can see all that that's kind of a fun area. we have another area on our course that goes up around. I told somebody it goes over Badger Mountain, and they went, "What? You go over
What?
Badger Mountain?"
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it doesn't go over Badger Mountain, but the roads that go up Badger Mountain and around. We had one of the coolest things for the athletes. The locals came out from those neighborhoods and watched and cheered them as they went up the road, and it was a little bit Tour de France-ish.
Okay.
You know,
All
maybe
right.
not quite, maybe not quite as rabid as the Tour de France fans are, but you had people lining the streets, ringing bells, cheering them on, whatever.
That's
And
pretty
the
cool.
athletes just really loved that, to watch them go up that hill and then over down the other side. So those are a couple areas where, and we'll put out a local event guide that will help you navigate that. It's like, if you live in this area, come over and watch here for a little while, or go down here. So we've got some things like that. We'll have a website that you go to, visit tricities.com/Ironman, where
I'll put a link in the show notes for people to,
Yeah, they can get all the information. They can also go in there and find out about the traffic impacts and look at a map and go, I live here and I need to get to here. How do I get out of this area? Right. And so we're trying to make that as convenient and as easy as possible for people. They can see the times when the roads are going to be closed and try and navigate that. Again, last year, if people didn't catch it last year, or if they did, we're making improvements. We went back and analyzed it all, and we're trying to dial in those things so that you've got the information you need to get around, and make your day fun. But this is, it's an event that, like I say, there's the economic impact, which is really a big piece of it. I mean, we had $7.5 million come into the community that weekend. People spent that money here.
That's a big impact to the region.
Yeah,
that's good.
And people coming from 45 states, 20 different countries to participate in the race. We see those benefits in so many different ways. The media surge was huge. I think we saw 161% increase in our positive media about the area.
Oh wow! Okay.
Relating, that was for the year, but a bulk of that was surrounding this event. We, a lot of the race video that we produced and put out right after the race, highlighting the event. In less than 2 weeks, I think 45,000 people had watched that video. They share it. They're like I said, these are kind of type A personalities that participate in these events, and they're going to tell everybody about it. And so it just gave us a way to showcase our destination in a really natural and beautiful way with a lot of positive energy about it. I think that's good. The other piece of it, though, that I think the event like that brings, that I really, it's hard to quantify this, but you've created an energy in your community. 1,000 people came out to volunteer. People saw the videos. People got in the action. You brought these passionate people into your community. They saw what you brought, your passion, and they left here and they take it with them. And they're gonna talk about this event. They've accomplished something really significant in their life by accomplishing this event. They're going to talk about it for the rest of their life. And that connection to what they did and where they did it is really important in telling the story of the Tri-Cities and how great it is. And so it's worth a little sacrifice for, a little bit of detour. Yeah.
Totally agree. I do have a couple more questions about the event. What time does it start?
Yeah, racers go in the water at 6:30, starting at 6:30 on Sunday morning.
Can we push that? I'm going to come down for this. Can we push it to 7? Because 6:30, I got to get my coffee.
You're going to get down to Rockabilly Road.
I got to get to Rockabilly, get my coffee. So racers go in the water at 6:30. And you said just under 4 hours was the fastest time. So this is not wrapping up, but people will start crossing the finish line. Let's say 10. Yeah. 10. I don't want to say 10:30 because somebody will be earlier than that, but somewhere between 10 and 10:30. So a couple questions. Who was the last person to complete the race? How long did they take?
I don't have the name of the last person. I probably should just jot that down for fun.
Yeah.
But they come across roughly about 7:30. I'm sorry, not 7:30, 4:30.
4:30. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they really, it was a much longer time, but they completed it. That's awesome. All right.
Yep. Yep.
Do you know off the top of your head the youngest and the oldest participants?
I think 18 was our youngest. And I think, if I remember right, our oldest, gosh, I can't remember, but I think it was in the 70s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't. I think I'm making an assumption here. We probably don't let kids do this, so you got to be at least an adult, right?
You have to be 18.
You got to be 18.
18 is the youngest to do an Ironman.
Okay.
And, and I've seen racers up as high as 84, 85
Good for
racing
them. That's awesome.
finishing it, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
even just participating, trying it at 80, any age. That's amazing. So this is coming up. What's the date for the 2025?
2025 is September 21st.
Okay. And starts about 6:30 in the morning. So get your coffee.
Get out there.
Get your
coffee. Get out there a little early. Feel that buzz and energy as people are gearing up and getting ready. We'll do the national anthem, and boom, the cannon goes off, and away they go.
So it's a cannon. And we've
cannon
got 2,500 people racing into the water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do them in, about 5 at a time, right?
Okay.
Boom.
Okay.
Just feed them.
I was going to say that I could see people getting injured in the melee of that many arms and legs.
Ironman used to do a mass start. I've been involved in those, and it's a sight when you have 2,500 people and they go boom, and it's just like salmon spawning, coming up the waterfalls, right?
Now, last question or last statement, and ask you to validate. So, my recollection is the Tri-Cities has got a 3-year. This is year 2 of a 3. So you're going to be. The plan is to do it again in 2026.
Yep.
If you're forecasting, if I'm asking you to look in the crystal ball, do you think Tri-Cities will be a regular on the Ironman circuit in beyond 26?
Yeah, I think if it's up to Ironman, there's no question. They were thrilled with the way our community came together and put this off. The feedback from the race. This is really fun to talk about. Do you know what a net promoter score is?
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah. So you get it. It's a ranking of whether people would rate your event or would recommend it to a friend, right?
Right.
Anything over 50 and the way their scoring system works is a really good score. If you score above 50, that's a great score. And the average Ironman race from their athletes is ranked a 52. That's our global average.
That's the athletes that participated. Ranking it. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Where did your race come in last year?
Tri-Cities race scored 80 last year. Wow. I mean, we killed it.
That's impressive. That's a huge change.
Just, so that tells you what the athletes thought of our community, of the way the event was put together, of the reception they had from the people. Mm-hmm. That's what that's all based on. How did it all come together, and would you recommend this? And it was phenomenal. So 93% positive feedback in their survey when just ranking from 1 to whatever, 80 net promoter score. The event was selected by the athletes as the second best swim in North America of an Ironman event. Okay. And I think it was the 3rd most recommended race of all the races they do in North America. So, so they're going to say, right now, they're just thrilled with the reception. It came off great. A first-year event to get those kind of scores. We improve on that. We do even better. Right. So the question is up in the air: is does the Tri-Cities want to host it? That's really what it comes down to. And so far, we're all in, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's easy for me not living there to say. I think if your community has the opportunity to bring an event like this back annually or every other year type thing. The way you've described it, the way I'm thinking about it, it is a great showcase for the Tri-Cities. Your area seems like it's a good, the sport is a good fit for what you have to offer, i.e. the race. It's relatively level, it's not, these are all things that would probably make it desirable as a course. Mm-hmm. I touched on the airport earlier. mean, if you said 45 different states, okay. Tri-Cities is pretty easy to get to.
Pretty easy to get to.
You know,
Yeah,
it's shockingly easy to get to if you think about it. And it's
right.
not okay.
Yeah,
I can see a lot of reasons why this would be a great reoccurring addition to your community.
Yeah, I think it could become a staple event, and maybe we're sitting here in 10 years and still just loving. There's a lot of factors. Growth plays into it, and roads and availability and things like that. But yeah, what a great way to start. Have this go off the way it did, and I think we're pretty excited about it. And everything I've heard so far from the community leaders is they're thrilled with what happened, and let's keep going, right?
Yeah,
and then the next question is the one I get all the time is what's next, right? Okay, what else have you got? and so we're working on.
What have you done for
things.
me lately? Come on.
We're working on some things. You try to find, in our role as a destination marketing organization, we are constantly seeking out those things that fit, right? And just as you kind of recap there, this one works for our community. I think it works really well. So is there another event that would do a similar benefit, maybe at a different time of year, right? So let's say we got a downtime in the end of May or something. What could we slide into that window that would then bring some positive attention and great people into the community? And then they go out and they share their story. And from my experience, my St. George experience, it changed the dynamic and the fabric of the community, it changed the perspective of the world outside, and opened up all kinds of opportunity. And now that destination, like a different destination, but that destination is like, it's incredible what's going on down there in terms of growth and opportunity down there.
This is very interesting. I've over the last 5 years, I'd say for me, I've become more exposed to the Tri-Cities region, and I'm not just saying this because you and I are talking. I am saying this genuinely, that it's interesting down there. I have curiosity when I go down there. I'm not on autopilot when I go down there. Okay, there's places that I go that I'm kind of on autopilot. Yeah, okay, I go here, I go here. Yeah, but when I go to Tri-Cities and I drive down there, and I've had a project in. Well, I've had projects in Kennewick and Pasco and Richland and West Richland and Benton City, and I'm going to all the various communities, right? Driving through them, and I always tend to. The first few times I tend to go explore, and then I'll be honest with you, sometimes it's like, okay, I just want to hurry up and get this go get this checked off and get moved to the next one, because it's a long day.
Right.
Because I try to make the drive in a day, and that's a long day. But I found some really cool stuff, and I can't think of the name of the place right now. But they're the donut place that's the potato flour.
Spud Nuts.
Yeah, Spud Nuts. I mean,
Nuts,
that's I had to check that out. That was pretty interesting.
Yeah. And it's kind of amazing what like oh, how did that get here? Or why did this one start? I don't say this to sometimes you say things like this and it's like, well, we were great before, right? But it feels to me like the Tri-Cities is you're on a platform of really, really good, and your time has come, right? There's opportunity to do some really neat things here. Not to say anything about where it was, because you built this great platform. You've got this, but there's opportunity here, and I think over the next few years we're going to continue to see those kinds of things pop up, those unique things that make you go, why have you got so many flights going into Tri-Cities?
Well, just that, and then okay, I've said this many times, but the Space Needle doesn't need my talking about it to help it. Okay, Space Needle is going to get its traffic, no matter if you never mention the word Space Needle again, right? In Seattle, Pike Place Market. there's so many other things going on around Washington State in places like the Tri-Cities, like Spokane, like Ellensburg, like Vancouver, Bellingham. Many, I could keep going. I think that the entire state's kind of in the same general boat as Tri-Cities, is that this platform's been built.
Yeah.
No disrespect to any place 20 years ago, but right now, I think tourism is up, I believe, statewide. I mean, I know COVID threw things, but I think we've rebounded okay. I think we're getting people from outside of the Northwest coming here to check it out. I'm going to suggest that they fly into Pasco and start their journey in Pasco and then go to Seattle. I mean, just like flip the script. Let's start in Tri-Cities and then go to Seattle for an afternoon, our day.
That's a great idea. Let's work on that concept. I think because again, the experience from here to there is pretty unique.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That drive is pretty amazing. And there's many ways you can get from the Tri-Cities to the West Side. That you can go to the Columbia Gorge. You can do. We could continue on this conversation for hours, but that's okay.
Pretty amazing state.
So Kevin, I'm going to recap this. You want people to come to Tri-Cities?
We do.
You have a big Ironman race coming up, and you want people to know about it. You told me a great coffee place that I have to go try. We have a big airport, not a big airport. We have a well-connected airport that you can forget your phone and get back to it. I know you live 10 minutes away, but it's like you can't do that at SeaTac. If you got to SeaTac and realized you lost your phone, if you got to Salt Lake International, whatever Salt Lake Airport's called, if you were in the parking garage at Salt Lake, you couldn't get back out even if you lived 10 minutes away. So
you couldn't get to the garage.
Exactly. So there's all these things going on in Tri-Cities, and visit Tri-Cities. We'll put a link in the show notes. It's got all sorts of stuff, and we did not even begin to scratch the surface. But I thank you for your time.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're a pie guy, by the way. I'm kind of in camp pie. There's no wrong answer, but the other is pumpkin pie's wrong. That's just wrong. I mean, it's just you can't convince me of that. But thank you for being on the show, and I'm looking forward to our paths will probably cross at the Ironman. I'll probably say hello to you as you go running off to some other station.
Absolutely. We'll get together for sure.
Okay.
Thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
All right. Hope you enjoyed the show. You can reach me on Twitter at ExploreWaState. I'd love to hear your comments. You can also visit our website at explorewashingtonstate.com. If you know anyone who would like the show, it'd be amazing if you'd share the show with them. This is the biggest way that we grow this show. Good old word of mouth. Glad you were here with me today, and I hope to have you listening to the next episode. See you then.